Hi, Randy Orr with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, team leader at the Orr Group, bringing you another great buyer tip today. What I want to talk to you about is something called earnest money deposit. Now, it's a very complicated subject. I'm going to hope to bring you some of the basics so you have a comfort level when you're purchasing a property. Earnest money deposit is the initial deposit that you as the buyer will be depositing into escrow within 3 days of acceptance of contract. Now, outside of 3 days, you're already in default of contract, so we don't want that to happen. So make sure the earnest money is deposited, which means you should have funds on hand in the right account so that you can disperse those funds to escrow when you do get an accepted offer. Now, by law, the seller may not retain as liquidated damages more than 3% of the purchase price of the property. So you should not be expected to deposit more than 3%. But somewhere around 2.5%, and probably 3% is very, very customary, and that should be your expectation. Having said that, once your money is in escrow as earnest money deposit, you have a contingency period. You actually have 2 contingency periods, one at 17 days and one at 21 days by default of the contract. The 21-day contingency is that contingency that is a loan contingency. So make sure that your lender is working very aggressively so that he meets that deadline of 21 days after acceptance to remove the contingency. Should you not qualify for your home loan, that contingency is in place so that you can cancel your purchase contract and receive your earnest money back. There may be some very minor fees charged by an escrow company, but they are minor, and this is typical. The other set of contingencies are a little bit more complex. They're having to do with the homeowners association documents, your investigation of the property, your receipt and approval of what we call natural hazards disclosure, what kind of hazards they are. Now, folks, we're in California. Expect that natural hazards report to tell you that yes, we are in an earthquake zone. If you're in a coastal community, yes, you will be in a flood zone. So your expectation level of that natural hazards report should be whereby you understand where we're purchasing property. Now, the biggest reason that buyers do cancel escrow is probably property condition. This can only be determined after you do a due diligence inspection with a good inspector of the property. Let's get back to earnest money deposit. There is no risk of your earnest money deposit as long as you do not sign the removal of all those contingencies. Now, what does it take to cancel based on the removal of a contingency, or the fact that you're going to identify a contingency as the reason that you're going to cancel? You, the buyer, should really want the property that you're making an offer on. Having said that, anything discovered during your due diligence period, as long as it's factual, is a reason for you to cancel with good reason and receive your earnest money back. Now, I am not an attorney. I am not giving you legal advice. I'm giving you what happens in the practical world of real estate when a buyer puts money into escrow, does his due diligence during those 17 to 21 days for all of those things in place so that you know eyes wide open that this is the property you're comfortable to go forward with. Things within the property inspection are usually the cause for the buyers not to be comfortable and thus cancel escrow. So 3% earnest money deposit, typical. You have a whole host of contingencies in place. Do your due diligence. Make sure you're working with a very trained professional. We at the Orr Group are extremely cautious about having you comfortable going forward. Randy Orr, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services team leader at the Orr Group, helping you make great decisions for your real estate, changing lives one home at a time.